You ever stop and think about what your favorite website, a crazy video game, and, well, even this explainer you're watching right now all have in common? Turns out they're all cooked up from the same basic ingredients. And today, we're going to break down the one word that ties them all together: multimedia. Let's do this.
All right, so let's kick things off with why any of this even matters. Believe it or not, a study from way back in 1994 totally nailed it. They found that people only remember about 20% of what they see, and maybe 30% of what they hear. But, and this is the kicker, when you combine sight and sound, that number jumps to 50%. That simple but super powerful idea is really what multimedia is all about.
So, that brings us to the big question, right? What is the secret sauce that makes everything from TikTok to the latest blockbuster game so sticky and memorable? What are those fundamental ingredients? The answer, as you probably guessed, is multimedia.
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this, let's just break the word down. It's actually one of those things where the clue is hiding in plain sight, right in the name itself. It's actually super simple when you think about it. Multi, right? That just means many, or at least two. And media, that's just the plural for medium, the different ways we get information across, like text or pictures or sound. So you put them together, and multimedia is simply mixing and matching two or more of those things into one single package.
Okay, so what are these different media types we're talking about? Well, it turns out that pretty much everything you see, hear, and click on online can be boiled down to just 5 core components. Think of them like digital Legos. And here they are. You've got text, graphics, audio, animation, and video. That's it. That's the whole list. You could almost think of them as the primary colors of our digital world. You learn how to mix them together, and you can create, literally anything.
All right, so let's take a closer look at each one of these building blocks, one by one. And we're going to start with the granddaddy of them all, the most basic one.
First up, text. It's the foundation of everything, right? It's literally everywhere, from the article you're reading to the little words on a Buy Now button. But here's the thing. In the digital realm, text isn't just text. It actually comes in 2 really important flavors. So, on one hand, you've got your basic static text. It just sits there, like words printed in a book. But then you have hypertext. And this right here is the absolute game changer. It's text that contains a link, letting you jump to a whole new screen or another piece of media entirely. Every single time you click a link online, you're using hypertext. It's the web in World Wide Web.
Next up, we've got graphics. And let's be real, they're what save us from staring at boring walls of text all day. A good picture can explain a super complex idea in a split second. It grabs your eye, it sets a mood, it does things that words by themselves just struggle to do. Now, graphics generally fall into 2 main buckets. You've got raster images, sometimes called bitmaps. Think of a photograph from your phone. It's made up of a grid of tiny dots or pixels. Then you have vector graphics. These aren't made of pixels, they're made of math, lines, and curves. That's why you can take a company logo and blow it up to the size of a billboard, and it still looks perfectly sharp. All right, our third building block, audio. This is a big one. It's the sound of my voice you're hearing right now. It's the background music in a video game that keeps your heart pumping, or just that little ding your phone makes. Sound adds a whole other dimension, pulling you deeper into the experience.
And the really important thing to understand about audio and multimedia is the jump from analog to digital. See, analog audio is the real physical sound wave. Think of the grooves on a vinyl record. It's authentic, but it can wear out and get scratchy. Digital audio is different. It takes a snapshot, a sample of that sound, and turns it into a perfect, clean code. That's why a digital file sounds exactly the same the 1,000th time you play it. It's stable, it's precise, and that's exactly what we need.
Moving on to number 4, we have animation. And animation really is kind of a magic trick we play on our own brains. It's not actually moving, it's just a bunch of still images, a whole series of them, flashed in front of our eyes so fast that our brain says, hey, that's moving. It's how we breathe life into things that are totally static. And you're probably familiar with the 2 big types. There's 2D animation, think classic, flat cartoons like the old Looney Tunes, and then there's 3D animation. This is the stuff that powers basically all modern CGI movies and video games, where artists build entire 3-dimensional models inside a computer and then make them move. And that brings us to our 5th and final component. And you could argue it's the most powerful of them all, video. It's kind of the ultimate combination, right? It takes moving images and mashes them up with sound. The result? You can communicate a massive amount of information and a huge emotional punch in just a matter of seconds.
So why did digital video take over the world? Honestly, it comes down to one word: flexibility. Think about it. An old-school film reel could get scratched and worn out. A digital file stays perfect forever. You can send it across the planet in an instant. And maybe the biggest deal of all is something called non-linear editing. That just means you can jump into the middle of a video, cut something out, move a clip from the end to the beginning. You have total freedom. It completely changed the game for creators.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got our 5 ingredients: text, graphics, audio, animation, and video. But, just having a pile of flour and eggs doesn't make you a cake. The real magic isn't just in the ingredients, it's in the recipe. So how do we actually connect all these pieces together to build the interactive world we live in online?
Well, the secret ingredient, the thing that ties it all together, is that idea we mentioned earlier: hypertext. This concept, which a guy named Ted Nelson came up with way back in the 1960s, was revolutionary. It said, hey, why does information have to be a straight line, like reading a book from page 1 to the end? What if you could just jump, follow a link, explore a tangent, and create your own unique path through the information?
And this idea didn't just pop out of nowhere. It was really the next logical step in this long story of how we share information. First you had the printing press, which let us organize knowledge. Then came radio and TV, which let us broadcast it to millions. And finally, the microcomputer arrived and gave us the power to actually interact with it all. Hypertext was just waiting to happen. Okay, so this whole concept of linking everything together brings us to one last but really crucial distinction. We've talked a lot about multimedia, but you may have also heard another term floating around: hypermedia. So, what's the deal? What's the difference?
Okay, if you remember one thing, remember this. Multimedia is just the mix of different media. It can be totally linear, like watching a movie from start to finish. You just press play and sit back. But hypermedia, that's what you get when you add the power of links to that multimedia mix. Hypermedia is always nonlinear. You're in the driver's seat. The perfect example is the World Wide Web itself. It's not just a bunch of stuff, it's a web of connections between all that stuff. That is hypermedia.
So, to boil it all down, you take the 5 building blocks of multimedia, you add the interactive, nonlinear linking power of hypertext, and boom, you get hypermedia. It's that exact combination, that simple but powerful idea that gave us the internet as we know it today.
So when you understand these 5 basic building blocks and how they connect, it kind of gives you a new way to see the entire digital world. We've gotten really good at mixing and matching these 5 media types. It's the foundation of our modern world. And that just leaves one big, fascinating question hanging in the air. What's the next medium? What will be the 6th building block? And when it arrives, how is it going to change everything all over again?